We've been sold a story for decades, but the real one, it's been buried. Until now, you heard me correctly. This is a nostalgia trip. This is an expose. Michael Jordan is finally pulling back the curtain on the pure venom that fueled one of the NBA's most brutal rivalries. Today, we're dissecting the real reason MJ's hatred for Isaiah Thomas burned so deep. This isn't about hard fouls. This is about a calculated system designed to break a man. This is about a walk-off snub that was a declaration of war. This is about a dream team betrayal that exiled a legend from history itself. And if you think the on-court violence was bad, just wait until you see how Jordan wielded his power to slam a door shut on the biggest opportunity of Thomas's life. Trust me, this feud runs darker than you ever imagined. To understand the hatred, you can't start with a missed handshake. You can't even start with the dream team. You have to start with blood. Rewind to the late 80s playoffs. Jordan is a blur of motion, soaring to the lane for one of his iconic, hang-in-the-air masterpieces. And then, impact. Bill Laimbeer drives a shoulder into Jordan's chest like a linebacker. Jordan crashes to the hardwood. The crowd gasps. But the Detroit bench? They're celebrating. But understand this. This wasn't chaos. This was a blueprint, a strategy. They called it the Jordan rules. The moment he stepped into the paint, the order was given. Hit him. That's right. The Detroit Pistons had an actual defensive playbook for one single player, and its instructions were chillingly simple. Hit him. Hit him again. And if he gets back up, hit him harder. Don't just take my word for it. Listen to a former Pistons assistant coach admit it on camera. Well, that's the Jordan rules, and it was that simple. What happens when he does make a drive? That's when Laimbeer Mahorn would go up and knock him down to the ground. This wasn't defense. This was an assassination attempt on his confidence, his body, his very spirit. And where was Isaiah Thomas in all of this? He wasn't a bystander. He was the face of this operation, the smiling general of the bad boys. To him, these weren't dirty plays. They were necessary tactics. Need proof? Listen to Thomas himself break it down. And you, as a defender, your job is to take away his right hand. Take out his right hand. It was that deliberate, that cold. Now, contrast that with MJ. Jordan was the league's anointed prince, the heir to the thrones of Magic and Bird. His game was built on a foundation of elegance and humiliation. He lived to embarrass you, then posterize your center for good measure. So imagine his fury. Every time he took flight, he was dragged back down to earth by a gang of enforcers. The league was crowning Jordan as its future king. Detroit was treating him like a tackling dummy. And Isaiah Thomas was a man smiling in the center of it all. That's where the poison first entered Jordan's veins. This wasn't just about fouls. This was a battle for the soul of the NBA. Jordan saw himself as a chosen one, destined to globalize the game. Thomas saw himself as the overlooked underdog who would build a dynasty with his own two hands, only to have the spotlight stolen by this new, flashy phenomenon. Year after year, the playoffs became a torture chamber. This war stretched for years, becoming the single greatest obstacle of Michael Jordan's career. The Pistons had fully embraced their bad boys identity by the late 80s. They earned that name with every elbow, every shove, every moment they made an opponent question their own safety. And no one paid a higher price than Michael Jordan. In the 1988 Eastern Conference semifinals, Jordan was putting up video game numbers. 36.3 points, 7 rebounds, and 4.7 assists per game. But Detroit's defense was a swarm of hornets. Their mantra was relentless. Hit him until he stops. They weren't joking. Dennis Rodman later admitted the game plan was pure violence. Every time you go to the basket, put him on the ground, we tried to physically hurt Michael. By 1989, the hostility had curdled into something truly ugly. The Bulls were no longer underdogs. With Scottie Pippen emerging, they were a real threat. The Eastern Conference Finals went to a brutal Game 7. In Game 3, Jordan went nuclear, dropping 46 points on Detroit. For a moment, it looked like the tide was turning. But the Pistons had the Jordan rules. Every drive was a car crash. Laimbeer was a waiting wrecking ball. Rodman was a claw pulling him from the sky. And when it came down to the final seconds of Game 7, fate twisted a knife. Scottie Pippen was debilitated by a migraine, shooting 1 for 10. Jordan was trapped, swarmed, and defeated. Detroit won. The Pistons advanced. Jordan was left in the dust, humiliated. And if you think Detroit felt any remorse, think again. Thomas and his crew called it toughness. To them, Chicago wasn't just beaten. They were exposed as soft. 1990 brought another Eastern Conference Finals, another shot at revenge. Jordan's disgust was palpable, but the Pistons didn't flinch. He averaged 32 points, but it was one man against a machine designed to destroy him. Game 7. Same story. The Pistons slammed the door shut. Again, they were the gatekeepers of the Eastern Conference, and the price of admission was your body. By 1991, this wasn't just another rematch. It was a final act of a revenge saga written in sweat and blood. And this time, the script was about to be flipped in the most devastating way possible. In 1991, the Bulls didn't just knock on the door. They kicked it down. They didn't just beat the Pistons. They swept them. For games. Zero mercy. The Jordan rules were obsolete. This time, it was the Bulls who were predators. Physical, relentless, and hungry. The Pistons looked old, tired, and broken. And then came the moment. With seconds still ticking on the clock, Isaiah Thomas stood up. He gave a silent nod, and he led his entire team off the court. No handshakes, no congratulations, no eye contact. They simply vanished. Bill Laimbeer followed. Dennis Rodman followed. They ghosted the Bulls in their moment of ultimate triumph. If you thought winning was the climax, you're wrong. This was the moment that cemented a lifetime of hatred. Jordan didn't see a sore loser. He saw a coward. Years later, in The Last Dance, the wound was still raw. He didn't mince words. You can show me anything you want. There's no way you can convince me he wasn't on. This wasn't 1991. This was 2020. The scar had never healed. Thomas tried to justify it, saying the Celtics had done the same to them. But let's be real, this wasn't tradition. This was pure, unadulterated bitterness. That single act froze their relationship in ice. No matter how many titles Jordan won, the walk-off was always there, an open wound that would never close. And if you thought that was the ultimate revenge, you haven't heard about the Dream Team. In 1992, the United States assembled the greatest sports team ever created. The Dream Team. Jordan, Magic, Bird, Barkley, Malone. It was a basketball Avengers. And by any objective measure, one name was a lock: Isaiah Thomas, two-time champion, Finals MVP, the leader of the team that had dethroned Jordan. But when the roster was announced, his name was nowhere to be found. Stockton was in, Drexler was in, even Christian Leitner, a college player, was in, but Isaiah Thomas was watching from home. The rumor became legend. Michael Jordan gave an ultimatum. As Charles Barkley recalled, "They called me to ask me to play." Jordan said, "I won't play if Isaiah Thomas is on the team." The message was clear. It's him or me, and the choice was simple. You don't build a dream team without Michael Jordan. This was the coldest power move imaginable. The Pistons had kept Jordan from the finals for years. Now, he exiled Thomas from immortality itself. Think about that. The Dream Team is a permanent part of sports history. Every member is etched in gold, except Isaiah Thomas. He was erased. For Thomas, this wasn't just about a snub. It was proof that in the NBA, politics and power trumped even legacy. And Jordan? For him, it was a final, masterful checkmate in a psychological war that began with him on the floor and ended with him on the throne. This feud never died. In 2020, The Last Dance poured gasoline on the embers. Jordan, glass in hand, looked into the camera and made his feelings eternally clear. Oh, I hated him. And I hate him to this day. Decades later, 6 rings later, the bitterness still burned. Thomas fought back, of course. He argued his side on every platform he could. He never denied Jordan's greatness, only the narrative that painted him as a villain. But the court of public opinion had spoken. For a new generation, Jordan was a hero, and Thomas was the bitter rival left on the wrong side of history. This is the legacy of their hate. It's a story that proves some grudges are stronger than time, more powerful than championships, and more enduring than the game itself. So now I have to ask you, whose side are you on? Team MJ or Team Zeke? Drop your verdict in the comments and subscribe, because the next rivalry we break down will change how you see the game forever.